Ever feel that knot in your stomach? That cold dread we call fear? What if I told you that high in the majestic, frozen peaks of the Himalayas, an ancient people didn't just face their fears, they set them on fire? Imagine a village, nestled among snow-capped giants, where courage wasn't something you prayed for. It was something you forged. This is the story of a ritual lost to time, a tradition so powerful that modern science is only now beginning to understand its wisdom. They called it the Agni Shuddhi, the cleansing flame. But this wasn't about religion as we know it. There were no gods to appease, no scriptures to recite. This was about something far more primal, far more personal. It was about rebirth. Picture this. As the sun dips below the jagged horizon and the world is painted in hues of orange and purple, a great bonfire is lit in the center of the village. The flames leap and dance, casting long shadows that flicker against the humble stone homes. One by one, the villagers emerge, not with heads bowed in prayer, but with gazes fixed on the fire. They approach it barefoot, feeling the frozen earth beneath them and the growing warmth on their faces. They would stand before this roaring blaze, and in the crackle and pop of the burning wood, they would whisper. They spoke not to a deity, but to the flames themselves. They confessed every weakness, every doubt, every fear that had settled in their hearts. The fear of a bad harvest, the anxiety of protecting their family, the personal insecurities that haunted their quiet moments. They gave their fears a voice, and then they watched as the fire consumed them, turning them into nothing but smoke and ash, carried away into the vast, starry sky. What these Himalayan people were practicing, centuries before modern psychology even had a name for it, was a profound form of exposure therapy. They didn't run from their emotions, they confronted them head-on. The ritual had a beautiful, tangible element to it. Each villager, from the youngest child to the oldest elder, would take a piece of birch bark, a leaf that was plentiful in the lower valleys. With a piece of charcoal, they would write down, or for those who couldn't write, draw a symbol of their deepest fear. Think about that for a moment. The act of giving your fear a physical form, taking it out of the abstract chaos of your mind and putting it onto something you can hold. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it was a powerful psychological tool. The fear was no longer an invisible monster lurking in the shadows of their psyche. It was now an inscription on a leaf, tangible and finite. Then came the most crucial part of the ceremony. They would walk to the fire, one by one, and offer their leaf to the flames. As the birch bark curled, blackened, and was devoured by the fire, they weren't just watching a leaf burn. They were watching their fear turn into light and heat. They were witnessing its transformation. The release was immediate, visceral. It was a declaration. This no longer has power over me. Now, you might be thinking, that's a lovely story, a beautiful metaphor. But what if it's more than that? What if this ancient wisdom is backed by modern neuroscience? Researchers today are exploring the incredible power of symbolic acts and rituals on our brain. When we perform a symbolic act of release like writing down a fear and destroying it, we are sending a powerful signal to our brain. Specifically, we're communicating with a part of our brain called the amygdala. The amygdala is our brain's fear center, our internal alarm system. It's responsible for that fight-or-flight response. When we're trapped in a cycle of anxiety, the amygdala can become overactive, constantly firing off warning signals even when there's no real danger. What scientists are discovering is that rituals like the Himalayan fire ceremony can actually help to calm the amygdala. The act of externalizing the fear and then symbolically destroying it helps to rewire these neural pathways. It's like telling your brain, I see the threat, I have acknowledged it, and now I am letting it go. The danger has passed. This process can reduce the production of stress hormones like cortisol and promote a sense of calm and control. These villagers didn't have MRI machines or textbooks on neuroscience. Their knowledge was intuitive, passed down through generations. They understood that fear, when left to fester in the darkness of the mind, only grows stronger. It becomes a tyrant, dictating our choices and limiting our potential. But when you drag it into the light, when you face it, when you give it to the fire, you reclaim your power. You're not destroying a part of yourself, you're transforming it. The energy that was once consumed by fear is now freed up, available to be used for courage, for creativity, for love. This wasn't a one-time fix. The fire ritual was a regular practice, a form of mental and emotional hygiene, like bathing or cleaning your home. It was a constant reminder that fear is a natural part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to be a permanent resident. It can be a visitor that you acknowledge and then show the door. In our modern world, we are surrounded by fear. We're bombarded with anxious headlines, social pressures, and personal insecurities. We often try to numb our fears, distract ourselves, or pretend they don't exist. But what if we took a lesson from these Himalayan sages? What if, instead of running, we found our own fire? It doesn't have to be a literal bonfire. Your fire could be a journal where you write down your anxieties and then tear out the page. It could be a conversation with a trusted friend, where you give voice to what's scaring you. It could be a physical activity, like running or boxing, where you burn off that anxious energy. The principle is the same. Acknowledge the fear, externalize it, and release it. These ancient cultures hold a mirror up to our modern lives, reflecting a wisdom that we are desperately in need of. They teach us that our emotions are not enemies to be defeated, but messengers to be heard. They show us that true strength isn't the absence of fear, but the courage to face it and transform it. They didn't fear the fire, they fed their fear to it. And in doing so, they burned away their weakness and forged an unbreakable spirit. They turned their fear into light. Here at CultureZap, we believe that the past has profound lessons for the present. We're dedicated to reviving the rituals, the wisdom, and the forgotten human technologies that science is still learning to explain. The answers to many of our modern problems are not always in the future. Sometimes, they're waiting to be rediscovered in the embers of our past. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey to the roof of the world. If this story resonated with you, if it sparked something inside you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. We have so many more ancient secrets to share with you. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our next exploration into the wisdom of the ages. Until next time, find your fire.